Seconds after I saved a child from getting hit by a bus, the officer read me my rights. Sir, you're under arrest for assault. What? I stared at him, dumbfounded. The handcuffs were already clicking around my wrists on Michigan Avenue. Dozens of people starting to film. Officer! This has to be some massive misunderstanding. My mind was reeling as they led me to the patrol car. I kept replaying the last 10 minutes in my head. It was my first day navigating a big city after growing up in the middle of nowhere, Kentucky, and Michigan Avenue terrified me. 6 lanes of buses and taxis that never stopped for anyone. So when I saw the kid standing too close to the curb, my protective instincts kicked in immediately. They looked maybe 12 years old, tops, wearing what looked like a school uniform with a bright blue Pokemon backpack, wobbling as buses whooshed past inches from where they stood. Something in my gut screamed danger. Back where I'm from, that same instinct had saved my nephew from wandering into the combine harvester's path. You develop a sixth sense for when kids are about to do something dangerous. Then it happened. The kid suddenly jumped off the curb and darted into the 6 lanes of traffic. No looking, no hesitation, just launched straight into the path of oncoming cars. My body moved before my brain could process. 20 years of muscle memory from football drills kicked in. Apparently at 6 feet 3 inches and 300 pounds, I still had it. I charged forward like I was back on the football field. 3 massive strides and I was there. Horns blared, brakes screeched. A taxi missed us by inches as I grabbed them around the waist, lifted them off the ground, and carried them back to safety. Hold on, buddy, I got you. You're safe now, I said in my calmest voice. The response was not what I expected. A stream of profanity that would make a sailor blush erupted from the bundle in my arms. But in my adrenaline-fueled state, I assumed it was just shock. Kids nowadays watched all sorts of inappropriate content on YouTube. I set them down gently on the sidewalk, keeping one hand on their shoulder to steady them. It's okay, you're safe. Where are your parents? That's when chaos erupted. The crowd that had gathered started shouting. Someone screamed about calling 911. Others yelled that I was a kidnapper. The person I'd saved was thrashing and yelling, but I couldn't make out the words over the crowd noise and my own hammering heartbeat. Within minutes, police arrived. I tried to explain, but they weren't listening. Officer, I saved a child. They ran into traffic. Sir, you're being placed under arrest for assault, the officer said. Assault? I saved someone's life. This kid would have been killed. The officer and his partner exchanged a look I couldn't read. Sir, turn around and put your hands behind your back. At the police station, I sat in an interrogation room, still insisting there had been a terrible mistake. The detective across from me looked exhausted. Mr. Johnson, tell me precisely what you observed before you took action. There was a kid with a backpack by the curb. They jumped into 6 lanes of traffic. I had to save them. Did you hear them speak before you grabbed them? There wasn't time. Cars were coming. The detective sighed and stood up. Mr. Henderson has agreed to speak with you before pressing charges. Are his parents here? I asked desperately. I can explain everything. I was just trying to help. The door opened and my heart sank through the floor. In walked a man with a balding head, goatee, wedding ring, the works. I stood up to greet Mr. Henderson's father. Then I realized I was looking down at Mr. Henderson himself. He was 4 feet 2 inches tall. You picked me up like a sack of potatoes, he said, voice shaking with rage. I'm a partner at the biggest law firm downtown. I have an MBA from Northwestern. I was checking my phone before crossing at the actual crosswalk when you came at me like a freight train. That's when I noticed the Pokemon backpack. It was Louis Vuitton leather with what looked like a hand-painted Charizard on it. My face burned with mortification. I thought you were going to get hit. I was standing still on the sidewalk, Mr. Henderson snapped, waiting for the light, but you jumped. I dropped my phone, he interrupted. I had to hop down to reach it. The curb's higher when you're my height. The charges were dropped once Mr. Henderson heard my side. Kentucky, huh? He said, shaking his head. First time in Chicago? I nodded miserably. He clapped me on the arm. Welcome to the city, farm boy. Next time, maybe let the short people die on their own terms.